All right, let's take a look at cap space remaining. This is from Over the Cap, the website. After the Watson restructuring, the Browns still have about $20.5 million in cap space. And again, they've only restructured Deshaun Watson's deal. It's eighth most cap space in the NFL. You see the teams that are atop of them have more cap space, but they have the eighth most, just ahead of the Lions. So the question becomes, Jeff, where do you want to spend Jimmy Haslam's money next? What is the next area that you would like to see them go out and address?
I think you need to continue on the defensive line. Just because you got one edge, just because you got one defensive tackle, doesn't mean you're done in either of those areas. And this is where the Browns are great. The Browns are, and they've always, kind of been, productive on day one. Not so much last year, but other years they've been productive on day one. This is where you kind of value values. And I think this is where the Browns have always been really good with this, and why maybe a Draymond Jones contract or even a Jesse Bates where you're giving away $24 million. Well, that's great. If you have $80 million in cap space, that's great. But if you don't, that's one or two guys. I mean, who else are you bringing in if you're willing to commit that much money? I think safety is the one you got to talk about here. I think we're all pretty positive on the player like Grant Delpit is. You need to get more in here in that secondary. Whether you look at a player like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who plays the slot as well, which for me, love the player. I just think it creates more problems because then the Browns maybe got to look into the possibility of whether or not they're going to move on from another corner on their roster. I think they're just personally going to let this work out. And, hey, somebody's going to end up playing nickel. And look, you're all getting paid at the end of the day. So we all might not like the jobs we're given, but we all do appreciate it, basically when the revenue shows up in the bank account. But safety has got to be a spot you got to go here. I think, you could ask Grant Delpit to play some free safety. We all have seen what he's done as a strong safety. I think, there's a lot of hybrid safeties in the NFL these days. There's guys who excel around the line of scrimmage. There's guys who can play some single high, two high. You've got to find another guy to match with Grant Delpit to go ahead and get that done.